Wind. Johnny Ward is full of wind.
How many games have you been at, Johnny Ward? Etc. etc. Some of the stuff that's going on today. But you're going to be settling in for the weekend, I'd imagine, settling down in front of the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I'm actually not going to be able to see Sunday, but yeah, Friday, Saturday I'll be watching. Yeah, it'd be great. It's going to be good, isn't it?
I'm kind of, once they now show the bits and pieces of the grounds and that big grandstand and all that kind of stuff, I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to think, oh yeah, grand, I'm believing in blue.
Yeah. Not that I'm trying to publicise our presenters or anything like that, but Nathan Murphy has been tweeting.
It's a tough life for them over there.
He's been tweeting and putting on Instagram. Have you seen his Instagram post?
The selfies at the tee box and stuff.
What is he thinking? He's got his shades on. He's filming himself, overlooking the course. Yeah. He's let himself down there. Honestly, I think he's let himself down badly.
We shall get to Nathan Murphy. Joe, we'll check in for the first time this week at Le Golf National. But first, how about we hear from Rory McIlroy? Basically, all the players have been sat in front of press conferences for the duration of the last couple of days. Jordan Spieth, Bubba Watson are among those on the American side today. Jim Furyk, I know we're going to hear a little bit from Shane in the newsround momentarily. But first, let's hear from Rory McIlroy and what he had to make of the setup this week at Le Golf National and what he's expecting.
Rory, you obviously played in big Sundays before, but I just wonder, was there any element of intimidation on Sunday?
That East Lake rough was really tough, yeah. That was the most intimidating part about it. Started hitting a few drives left and right early, and I didn't actually have quite a good view from the trees on Sunday. I couldn't really see what was happening too much.
Can you remember your first shot in a Ryder Cup on the first tee, and can you talk about that dynamic, about how different that is, that feeling that goes through your body? Yeah,
Celtic Manor, I guess I didn't, going into my first Ryder Cup, I didn't know what all the fuss was about. I still thought it was, this team event that really doesn't matter in the big scheme of things, and I was more concerned about individual titles and all that. And once I got onto that first tee on Friday morning, I thought, oh, this is a little different than I expected. I was very nervous. I still get nerves on the first tee no matter what tournament it is, so that's something that maybe happens to me more than other people, I don't know, but it's nerve-wracking. You try and put your ball on that tee, and it takes you a couple of times to get it to settle on there, and I'm sure Friday morning, if I'm playing, will be no different.
Rory McIlroy there, not sounding exactly jazzed to be in Paris for the forthcoming Ryder Cup weekend. One man who I'm sure is jazzed to the hilt, much like a latter era Miles Davis album, is Nathan Murphy, standing by at Le Golf National. Good evening, Nathan. How are you finding Le Golf National? I see you're in one of the little boxes that they assign you when you get to these Ryder Cup things.
Muy bien, Richie. I am settling in just fine, as you would imagine.
Whoa. Let's back up the drug. Muy bien.
Muy bien.
It's
a bit of French, Richie. It's a bit of Ballyhaunis French. You don't worry about it.
The Ballyhaunis arrondissement French, is that it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I am in one of these little booths that it's fine for one, but when Joe Malloy arrives at some stage tomorrow, it might get a little bit squishy.
Yeah, he is a man.
Smelly.
He is a man whose personal hygiene has been called into question in the office more than once. How's the general setup there? Because these things are, like, I was obviously the K Club in 2006. They're big operations. They've only, I suppose, got ramped up even further over the course dozen years or so. Is it as big a setup as it has been the last few years? What's your experience of Ryder Cups previous?
It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It makes the Ryder Cup at the K Club in 2006 look like a amateur championship at this stage. It just seems to get 50% bigger every single time. And you walk into this course and you just breath taken away by the size of the grandstand, which bends from behind the first tee, sort of perfect circumference around that, and then bends around the 18th green and the 15th green. It's a perfect natural amphitheatre, and it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere on Friday morning for the opening tee shots. They've been building this year on year, trying to create the atmosphere for those opening four balls on Friday morning, and it's going to be about 7,000 people around that first tee. So if you're a little bit nervous, if you're like Webb Simpson was at Gleneagles 4 years ago and you pretty much shanked your opening tee shot, you have got a giant swathe of water just over to your left hand side that you can't take driver off this first tee. But for most of those players, that is going to be staring them down bright and early on Friday morning with those fans at their back. Interestingly, Jordan Spieth was speaking earlier and he said he doesn't think it's going to be as bad despite the increased numbers, despite there being twice as many as there was at Gleneagles, because they're all behind you, whereas actually at Gleneagles it was sort of around the first tee, so you won't actually be able to see them, you'll just be able to hear them. But it's an incredibly impressive setup. Everything about it is just bigger, brasher, more expensive than before.
What's the course set up like? What kind of golfers is it going to favour?
Well, it certainly looks as though it's going to be one of the tougher Ryder Cup courses. Generally, it's a made-for-TV event, and there's no doubt that 15, 16, 17, 18, if there are any matches that go down to the final holes, it is going to make for spectacular TV, because 15, you've got water involved, 16, you've got a par 3 over water, right, 17 is a pretty standard par 4, but 18 is one of the great finishing holes on the European Tour. That's the biggest advantage for the Europeans. So you look at the statistics here, this is the strongest American side there's ever been if you were to go by the world rankings. But all these European players are well used to playing at Le Golf National. For the last 2 years, it's been won by Alex Noren and Tommy Fleetwood. Plenty more of the European players have contended. I think half of this American team had never been to the course before this week. But there's a lot of water on a lot of important holes. And the rough seems to be a lot deeper, I think, than what most of the players expected. I think they thought it was going to be cut back quite a bit. It's a lot heavier, which means on a lot of the holes, say the first hole, you've got water on the left, and you've got thick rough on the right. So it's not really going to be a bomber's paradise. I think it's, say, maybe 4 or 5 times around the entire course you're going to take out driver. Generally, you're going to have to pick your spot, which maybe that does play into European hands, that they have a few of the better ball strikers out there. But they've changed. It's very different, say, to what they played at the Tour Championship last week. The greens are far, far slower. They're about 10, even less on the stimp, Richie, if we want to get really nerdish about this, which is about 13.8 at the Tour Championship last week, Richie. So they're a lot slower, but I think it's set up for perfect TV viewing for the weekend.
Getting on to the important stuff, what's the food like?
It's fine, Richie. It's
just fine.
A little bit of chicken. Get a €35 a day food allowance, Richie.
From whom? From here, or from the people over there looking after you?
No, from the people over there, Richie. You'd love it. You'd be saving it up to splash out on Sunday evening. Maybe a nice glass of wine to finish off the weekend.
Just once you're not indulging, you're already knocking stuff over in your little booth there, so maybe stay off the Vin Rouge for the time being. Nathan Murphy will let you get back to getting yourself set up for the rest of the week.
Cheers, Richie.
Cheers, boss. And our Ryder Cup coverage is brought to you in association with Now TV, and we'll have more from Nathan at Le Golf National after 7:30 tonight. There he is in his little booth all set up.
Muy bien. I don't know where he did French or who was his teacher in Ballyhonus back in the day, but muy bien, I don't know if that's French, is it?
Don't be throwing teachers under the bus like that, Shane.
I know.
He lets himself down a bit at times, though, Richie, doesn't he? He does let himself down a bit.
Nathan?
Yeah.
His Instagram post earlier on, where it's like he's showing his head in the middle of the shot and he's like doing a full panoramic to get in the... But you don't see the panoramic views of Le Golf National. You see the panoramic views of Nathan's planet-like head.
Look, I will acknowledge when I was over
in shades.
In shades as well, see, ropey ones.
When I was in the Crucible, I did do a panorama.
All right, what's your feet there?
But I didn't wear sunglasses. So
panorama?
Yeah, I just took a panorama of the Crucible Theatre itself.
Panorama?
I think so, yeah.
Panorama should do when you hold the phone.
Yeah.
And you do that.
Scroll around.
Is it not called panoramic?
Never.
I'm just saying.
Tomato.
Panorama.
Panorama's a programme.
Panorama, World in Action, whatever. It's grand.
All right, well, there you go.
The Newsround, we should say, of course, is brought to you this evening with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. We move from Le Golf National to bad news from the Fens of Ipswich, Shane.
Yeah, Republic of Ireland international John Walters has seen his loan spell with Ipswich come to a premature end after the club confirmed today he will be sidelined for 6 months with an Achilles injury. The 35-year-old has returned to his parent club Burnley. He isn't now expected to be fit to return to action until the new year. It is a blow, of course, for Martin O'Neill. Walters will now miss the must-win Nations League doubleheader at home to Denmark and Wales next month, as well as the friendly at home to Northern Ireland and a away trip to Denmark in November.
Not exactly the news Martin O'Neill would have wanted this week, Kev.
No, it's a shocker for him, isn't it?
Well,
we've had the news obviously this week. Robbie Brady's back playing for the under-23s. That was good news. Seamus Coleman hopefully going to be fit as well. And then you get that. We're light up front. We know that. So that is a big blow. Yeah, that's a big one. And more for himself from a personal point of view. Ruptured an Achilles at 35.
He wanted just to get game time again, to go away to Ipswich and do that, because obviously Burnley wasn't happening for him, and for that to happen so soon into the low move, personal level is absolutely crushing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a tough one for him to take. Yeah, but
Shane Long's playing regular football for Southampton.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah,
we'll kind of take what we can get at the moment. Speaking of team news, lots of it knocking around, Shane.
Yeah.
Another night of third round action in the EFL Carabao Cup.
I guess Anfield is where the pick of the ties is this evening. Chelsea are the visitors there to play at Liverpool. 8 changes for Liverpool, including a full debut for Fabinho in midfield and opportunities for Nathaniel Klein, Dejan Lovren and Alberto Moreno in defence. Daniel Sturridge leads the attack alongside Sadio Mane and Xherdan Shaqiri. Quite a strong team there for Liverpool. For Chelsea, meanwhile, it's Willy Caballero, Across the back, you've Azpilicueta, Christensen, Cahill, and you've Emerson, Fabregas, Kovacic, Bartley, Moses, Willian, and Alvaro Morata, which make up the Chelsea
something
11.
I've noticed from last night and tonight, Kev, is that a lot of these sides aren't necessarily the weak ones, and the Arsenal one we'll get to in a moment kind of bears that out as well. Like, we remember Arsenal are probably the case in point, whereby in the opening couple of rounds of the League Cup you'd have them fielding a bunch of 18, 19 year olds with squad numbers that'd be around 60s and 70s, whereas this time around you look to that Liverpool side and yes, there's 8 changes, but you could never by any stretch call it weak.
Strength on the squad, isn't it? That's something they were crying out for the last few years. It's probably what's cost them, I think, overall, hasn't it? Maybe not Champions League. Maybe that was obviously the one-off game, but certainly the league and getting closer in different championships. So this is a great chance for them now to use that squad. I mean, was it 8 changes you're saying there, Shaney? So I think in general Liverpool have got the strength. That is a strong side they're playing there.
Strong enough from Chelsea as well.
Yeah, exactly. Chelsea as well.
Gary Cahill's no mug, and then in midfield Cesc Fabregas getting a very.
Well, we were talking to Pat on Monday, and when Pat was saying about Fabregas specifically, wasn't he saying, look, he likes to play this style of football. What's his name?
Maurizio Sarri.
Sarri, likes to play a certain way, and Fabregas could benefit that side the way that they're playing. So I will see how it goes tonight there.
Tottenham have a home tie away from home, Shane.
Yeah, an 80-kilometre trek for their home game against Watford tonight. White Hart Lane, of course, yet to be completed, and Wembley unavailable, so Spurs have moved the tie to the MK Dons home ground in Milton Keynes. The EFL granted Spurs permission to play the fixture at Stadium MK, stating the club should be allowed to play at the venue of their request after being drawn at home. Speaking ahead of tonight's game, Spurs boss Maurizio Pochettino says they are looking forward to playing in new surroundings.
I feel well because we are going to discover another place to play. And of course, it's a very nice town. 4 years ago, I saw Dele Alli playing again with 16, 17-year-old against Manchester United. And look, a lot of very good memories. I think it's a beautiful town with an amazing stadium. I think, the option to play there is the only option that we had when we picked to play there, and we are going to try to win the game and enjoy the afternoon, of course.
Maurizio Pochettino putting on the most positive spins on what is actually a dreadful situation for Tottenham, having to go to Milton Keynes to play a home League Cup tie is the nadir of this wait for their new stadium to open.
Yeah, no. Have we heard of an official date? What is the official date?
There's no official date at this stage.
But it has changed from the original one. Was it the end of September?
The
October,
original one, the Liverpool game that just gone a couple of weeks ago, was supposed to be the original home game, and it was pushed back.
Right, yeah.
And we're into an indefinite period of October and beyond.
Right.
They're now talking about Christmas and hopefully having it open by New Year. And when you read the stories that came out of it via Construction News,
I saw that. Yeah, I read that.
Absolutely mind-boggling stuff that's going on
in there. It's been crazy. It's a crazy situation. But I mean, I think in general they want to get it right. Get it right. If Tottenham say, look, they have to play at Wembley for another season, then do it, or at least 6 months. It's not ideal when you start to say, when you're setting yourself deadlines and they're not met. It just makes you look foolish, doesn't it? But of course, just get it done right. That's the thing. And said, I think it's going to be special. I think it's going to be a very special stadium when it's done.
Yeah, the bits and pieces we've seen of it looks good. I don't think we've gotten a full view of it yet. But another North London side in action tonight, Arsenal and London derby.
Yeah, Arsenal only eliminated at this stage of the League Cup once in the previous 15 seasons. They are hosting Brentford. Just a quick look at the Arsenal lineup for tonight. Leno in goals, Lichtsteiner, Holding, Mustafi, Nacho Monreal, you've El Neni, Guendouzi, Henrik Mkhitaryan starts, youngster Emile Smith-Rowe as well in there, and Iwobi and Danny Welbeck as well in that Arsenal lineup. It should be a fairly straightforward night for Arsenal, you'd imagine.
Brentford a good side. A good side going well. I don't know what the strength that they've got out tonight, Brentford.
Sergio Paños is a really good player for them, came from Liverpool a couple of years ago. Alan Judge obviously knocking around the side.
Yeah, Alan Judge is playing tonight. I'm just seeing the team there in front of me. So they play great football right at the top of around the top of the Championship now. So I think that'll be a decent game. Play good football.
West Ham, meanwhile, welcome the lowest ranked side left in the tournament. That's League 2 Macclesfield Town. The team you need to know there is Declan Rice is among the West Ham substitutions.
Ireland's Declan Rice.
Republic of Ireland's Declan Rice. Can we still call him that?
For now.
Yeah, temporarily.
For now.
Nottingham Forest host Stoke in an all-championship affair at the City Ground. That's the last game. All of those games are underway at 7:45, except for Spurs Watford, which has an 8:00 p.m. kickoff.
We're now at that point in the week where we're talking about potential pairings for the four balls and foursomes coming up on Friday and Ryder Cup.
Jim Furyk has shot down suggestions, though, that Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson could be paired together at this week's Ryder Cup. The veterans lost 2 matches when partnered at the 2004 tournament in Michigan and have not been paired together since. Mickelson indicated that he would welcome a reunion after they were grouped together during practice at Le Golf National in Paris yesterday. US captain Furyk is less enthusiastic, however. He has described the pairing as not too likely.
Yeah, Tigers 4-ball enforcement play. It's like something when we look back on that win over the weekend, when we start to look forward to his Ryder Cup record. It's never been brilliant, and you're kind of just hoping to keep in the swing of things. And
singles record was
singles
very
record's
good.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, but with foursomes and 4-balls, I'm almost of the mind that you could probably keep your powder dry in him and not have
keep
him
fresh.
Keep him fresh. Keep him overly involved.
There's something that I never really thought about as well. It's the sense of being around him when you play. Not wanting to let him down. You can imagine that little bit of fear when you're paired with him as a teammate. Rather than Tiger Woods giving you that sort of lift, you're actually in fear of actually upsetting him, particularly when you're playing in.
If you're Justin Thomas or Bryson DeChambeau and you're like paired with Tiger Woods for 4-balls, you're just
exactly, treading on eggshells around the course.
It's the big man. Can't be letting him down. But mixed injury news from Munster this week. I know there was positives earlier on the front of Conor Murray, but Chris Farrell, we're going to have to keep waiting, it seems, in this front, Shane.
Yeah, it appears Chris Farrell is still a long way off in his recovery from a knee injury. The Southern Province now face into 2 inter-pro derbies and 2 European games without any sign of Farrell returning to boost Johan van Graan's midfield options. Van Graan was speaking earlier today at the launch of the European Champions Cup, at which he also addressed the mystery surrounding scrum half Conor Murray's neck injury.
Look, I can't comment on Conor's injury. I respect his request to not speak about his injury. I've been open and honest about that from the first day. All that I can say is in a very good headspace. He's training on the side of the field with our rehab staff. He's smiling. He's enjoying himself. And he's working incredibly hard. So things look very positive, but we'll just take it day by day. And as soon as he's declared fit, we'll definitely draft him into our team. He's one of our best players, and he's one of the players that must make Munster tick on and off the field. So we desperately need him. However, player welfare is number one. Whenever I'm the coach, I'll look after my player as well, and as soon as he's ready, he'll be back on the pitch.
Yeah, in better news for Munster, All Blacks scrum half Albie Matthewson looks set to be available for the start of their Champions Cup campaign as the process to obtain his necessary documentation nears its conclusion. Matthewson arrived at the Southern Province at the end of August after being signed on a short-term deal as injury cover for Conor Murray, but he has been unable to play as he awaits a work permit. He has been in training with Munster, and that work permit issue looks set to be resolved within the next 24 hours, so in time for Saturday's Guinness Pro 14 Inter-Pro against Ulster at Thomond Park.
Yeah, we'll look ahead to those Inter-Pros with Keith Woods and Matt Williams after 8 o'clock in Wednesday night rugby. Some of the texts in so far tonight. Kev, you fully fitted the jersey yesterday, says one.
Did I? Yeah.
But you look well in it. It's nice for you to have the Celtic jersey in your collection.
Certainly not in the shape I was a few years ago. That was a dream, Rich. You know that. 2 things I wanted to do in my youth.
Was it muscle fit?
I didn't check that. It was certainly quite tight anyway, but that wasn't necessarily the muscle fit that I wanted.
I think it was relatively forgiving.
But 2 things I wanted to do: play for Ireland and play for Celtic when I was a kid. So I've wore a Celtic shirt on a pitch. So
special day. Never thought I'd see Manchester United written on the scoreboard. And Porky Queeve says one texter, Trish in Cork, what a special day out in every way, says she. And also, Kev, Bobby here said rat. Did you ask Rich what age he called you? 60 he went to. I'll put the stick down now. I'll say you'll be having none of that.
Looked 60. I probably would have taken it, actually. The way that I felt on the pitch there yesterday.
I'm not going to name names, right?
Yeah.
But there was one guy playing yesterday who is still a professional footballer who was blown pretty heavily.
Go on. Name names. Go on.
I don't need to. I think I've said enough there.
Probably only one on the pitch.
Yeah. You could work it out quite easily, probably.
And Mark McNulty was playing by the end as well.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So there's 2, yeah.
But like that, if you're a supporter of his club in the championship, that's a worry.
Do you know when you walk out onto a pitch as well, like you go out into any sort of pitch, and you look over to the far corner, and when you see the far corner flag, whatever
far away it is,
you're thinking,
it's a long way away.
Yeah, that was a long way away.
You kept it very narrow both sides yesterday.
Yeah, there wasn't many diagonal balls being hit, was it? And I think Paul Scholes tried to hit one really early in the game and realised, that's a long way to kick that. Hope we're doing that again.
Scholes was still going in with the tackles as well. I know.
Yeah, he was.
He clipped one of the. I think it was one of the Celtic. Was in a Celtic jersey in the first half. And I was like, Jesus. Still can't tackle. Fair play. Nice to see a bit of biting it. But Shane, thank you. You'll be back in across the night with the scores and more from Kev throughout tonight as well. But Electric Ireland, sponsors of the GAA Minor Football and Hurling Championships, proud to introduce the 2018 Minor Star Awards. They honour the major moments on the pitch and recognise the individual performances throughout the championship season. To celebrate, we're giving you the chance to win €250 each night this week to spend on GAA gear. All you have to do to win it is just identify our non-GAA mystery voice who hurled for the Wicklow Miners, we should add, but says not even that accolade could make him a hit at parties.
Because I'm a real nerd.
got the glasses and everything.
Because I'm a real nerd.
If you think you know who that is, text your name and your answer to 53106 for 30 cents and we'll announce the winner later on in the show. It's all with thanks to Electric Ireland, sponsor of the GA Minor Championships. This is major. Busy show on the way. Wednesday Night Rugby with Woody and Matt Williams. We'll also check in with Phil McNulty from the BBC talking about that falling out between Pogba and Mourinho, plus a little bit of what's going on in Everton as well. We'll hope to speak to Shay Given following Derby's win at Old Trafford last night, and a whole lot more besides. But up next, we're off to Le Golf National.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products.
The Pat Kenny Show.
On tomorrow's programme, as well as all the breaking news, we investigate the drug scourge in Limerick, one 12-year-old girl's battle against scoliosis and intense pain. And Pete the Vet is back. He'll answer all of your questions.
The Pat Kenny Show.
With MasterCard.
Tomorrow morning at 9.
On News Talk.
There's never been a better time to